The first sign was the solar flare, massive, unnatural, bending physics in a way Earth's scientists couldn't explain. It surged from the dark side of the moon, pulsing like a heartbeat, synchronized with the ancient pyramids back on Earth. Dr. Kieran Wraith, a cyberneticist and Egyptologist, had spent years chasing fringe theories about the pyramids' connection to something beyond human comprehension. When the pulse echoed across the planet, disrupting AI systems and distorting time in isolated regions, he knew this was no ordinary phenomenon. NASA scrambled to send a covert expedition to the moon, masked as a simple research mission. But Kieran had already been chosen. He felt it in his dreams, whispers of a forgotten presence, voices older than humanity. His hands trembled as he traced the hieroglyphs on his private research tablet. The avatars will awaken when Ra's eye watches from the dark. The flare wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. 2 weeks later, he stood on the lunar surface, the Earth a blue jewel behind him. His suit's augmented visor displayed anomalous readings beneath the regolith. That's when they found it, a buried structure, impossible in design, older than the oldest human civilization. A temple of black stone, its entrance sealed by an energy field pulsing in an ancient rhythm. When Kieran reached out, his vision blurred. Then came the pain. A surge of something alien tore through his neural pathways. His body locked up, and 1,000 voices screamed into his mind. He fell, convulsing. His crew rushed toward him, but they were too late. The entity had chosen him. And when he awoke, he wasn't just Kieran Wraith anymore. He was Anubis' avatar, a vessel of something far greater than human. The transformation was brutal. His body, now enhanced beyond human limits, radiated with an eerie black energy, plasma waves shaping into spectral jackal-like appendages, responding to his will. His mind teetered on the edge of something godly and monstrous. The temple's doors had opened, revealing the truth. The Egyptian gods weren't gods at all. They were intergalactic entities, ancient warriors who once governed the balance of the universe. Millennia ago, they had come to Earth, forging avatars, biomechanical conduits capable of wielding their power. But when their war reached the stars, the avatars were buried, sealed away, their mission incomplete. Now something had awoken them. And not just Anubis. Far above the moon, orbiting undetected for centuries, a celestial warship stirred, a vessel as large as a city, its hull carved with glyphs that no human eye had seen in thousands of years. And within its cold, stasis chamber halls, the avatar of Set emerged. Unlike Kieran, Set's avatar had been prepared. Augmented with forbidden alien technology, enhanced beyond organic limits, it had no human consciousness, only war instincts coded into its very bones. Its first target, Earth. Kieran barely escaped the moon as the warship activated, its thrusters igniting with a golden energy not seen since the age of pharaohs. His body, still struggling to contain the power of Anubis, pulsed with raw cosmic force. He wasn't ready. But there was no time. The war of the avatars had begun. And Earth was the battlefield. The first attack came from within. All across the planet, ancient relics pulsed with energy. Hidden avatars, lost for centuries, began to stir. Some human hosts awakened willingly, embracing their new godlike forms. Others were consumed, overtaken by the raw power surging through them. The world governments collapsed within days. AI systems failed. Cities fell into chaos. And from the skies, Set's warship loomed. Kieran, Anubis, knew what had to be done. He needed allies. Deep beneath the sands of the Sahara, the avatar of Thoth awoke, a sentient AI consciousness forged in the lost archives of Alexandria. In the Amazon rainforest, a forgotten pyramid crumbled as Horus' avatar emerged, eyes burning like twin stars. The avatars were assembling. But Set had been waiting. As the first battles erupted across Earth, a greater horror revealed itself. The war wasn't just about avatars. The gods of Egypt had not only left behind their champions, they had left behind their masters. And they were returning. A colossal tear opened in the sky, an artificial wormhole carved into the fabric of reality. The true gods, the celestial entities who had once ruled as overlords of the avatars, had detected the conflict. And now, they were coming to reclaim their world. Kieran clenched his fists, feeling the power of Anubis coursing through him. This wasn't just a battle for Earth anymore. It was a war for the soul of the universe. The sky over Earth split apart. A golden rift, shimmering with eldritch energy, loomed above the planet, stretching across the upper atmosphere like a celestial scar. From its depths, shapes began to emerge, monstrous, elongated forms, biomechanical in nature, their exoskeletons adorned with symbols that predated human civilization. They were not just gods. They were the true architects of the avatars, the celestials of Duat. And they had come to reclaim what was once theirs. Deep beneath the shifting sands of the Sahara, in a forgotten underground city, Kiran Wraith, Anubis avatar, stood before an ancient construct, its metallic surface engraved with symbols that flickered as though alive. Inside the chamber, an AI consciousness pulsed within a crystalline lattice. This was no ordinary machine. This was Thoth's avatar, the fusion of an ancient artificial intelligence and the last remnant of the lost library of Alexandria. Designation Thoth. Keeper of knowledge. Overseer of order. The voice echoed in Kiran's mind, reverberating through his cybernetic enhancements. Before him, a humanoid figure materialized, part machine, part energy, its head elongated like the sacred ibis, its glowing optics scanning him with piercing intelligence. Anubis avatar has awakened. The balance has been disturbed. The Celestials have returned. Our war resumes. Thoth's avatar extended its arm. A holographic star map appeared, displaying planetary routes and hidden archives buried across the solar system. We must gather the others before Set strikes first. Kiran nodded. There was no more doubt. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a war of intelligence, tactics, and power. And they needed reinforcements. South America. Deep within the Amazon, a forgotten pyramid trembled. The avatar of Horus had awakened. The man who bore the power of Horus was once an astronaut, Commander Elias Varga, lost during an unrecorded lunar mission decades ago. But the truth was far stranger. Elias had never died. He had been transformed. His body, infused with stellar energy, had been held in suspension within the ruins of a pre-human structure hidden in the jungle. The moment the celestial rift opened, his slumber ended. Now his golden eyes blazed like miniature suns as he emerged from the ruins, his cybernetic wings expanding, pulsing with raw power. He flexed his fingers, forming razor-thin energy constructs in the shape of talons. The gods return, and they think we are still their pawns? He lifted off, soaring above the canopy, his wings tearing through the sky like twin comets. He didn't need convincing. He was born for war. And Set would be his first target. The battle erupted in Cairo, a city that had long since buried its divine past beneath steel and concrete. Yet, as the avatars rose, so did the forgotten warriors of the old gods. The avatar of Sekhmet, a woman once known as Captain Zaraminis, an elite Egyptian special forces operative, had always felt something stirring within her blood. The moment the war began, her body reacted, her DNA unlocking its hidden potential. Her transformation was violent, veins glowing like molten gold, her muscles reinforced with unbreakable nanoweave, her reflexes pushing past human limits. And then the fire came. Not ordinary flames, celestial fire. Her hands ignited with plasma, the heat distorting the air around her as she marched through the chaos, her very presence incinerating Set's foot soldiers, twisted mechanical horrors that moved like jackals but fought with the precision of machines. Sekhmet's roar shattered glass for miles. Her enemies would burn. Above Earth, Set's warship, a monolithic construct forged from star metal, launched its first orbital strike. Plasma lances tore through Earth's upper atmosphere, targeting ancient sites, ones that still held the secrets of the avatars. The avatars of Ra and Osiris were still missing. If Set destroyed their resting places, their knowledge would be lost forever. From the moon, a fleet of celestial dreadnoughts poured through the rift, each one carrying an ancient godlike entity, each one prepared to reclaim Earth as their domain. This war had been fought once before, and it had nearly destroyed humanity. Now the avatars stood once again, reborn in the modern world, their bodies enhanced by technology, their spirits reforged by the gods of old. Their mission was clear: fight, survive, and prevent Earth from falling into the hands of the Celestials. The age of the avatars had begun. Cairo, 2:14 a.m., the first ground strike. The night sky split open and hell rained down. Set's warship Anubis, unbound, hovered above Cairo, its plasma cannons locking onto the city's ancient sites. The first beam obliterated the old temple of Karnak, its ruins disintegrating into molten slag. The second carved through the outskirts of the city, leveling entire districts as jackal-like war machines poured from drop pods. The city became a battleground, and in the heart of it stood Sekhmet's avatar, Zaraminis, her body a living furnace of celestial fire. A plasma jackal, nearly 10 feet tall, lunged at her, its teeth forming serrated energy constructs mid-bite. Sekhmet twisted, her movements blurring beyond human speeds, and drove her fist into the beast's skull. The impact sent a shockwave through the streets, shattering nearby windows. The jackal's head exploded in a spray of molten nanite metal. "You want a war?" Sekhmet growled, her golden eyes burning. "Then burn." She launched herself forward, tearing through Set's foot soldiers. Her body became fire itself, every strike releasing arcs of plasma hotter than the sun's surface. A group of 7 jackals surrounded her, their cannons locking onto her heat signature. Too slow. Sekhmet clapped her hands together, and a thermal shockwave blasted outward, vaporizing everything within a 100-foot radius. More enemies poured in. But Sekhmet didn't stop. She was war itself. Meanwhile, in orbit, the avatar of Horus, Elias Varga, soared between the wreckage of shattered satellites. Set's fleet of hunter drones pursued him, their ion cannons tracking his every move. He grinned. "Let's see how fast you really are." Horus folded his golden wings, allowing himself to free fall. The hunter drones followed, their sleek forms twisting through the debris field. Horus flipped mid-air, his optics calculating their trajectory. Then, he spread his wings. A sonic boom ripped through space, his acceleration shattering the speed of sound. Horus flashed between the drones, his energy talons slicing through their hulls like paper. Explosions bloomed behind him, lighting up the darkness like miniature suns. But the real threat was still coming. A colossal shadow loomed over him. The warship Anubis Unbound was repositioning, its main cannon glowing with the intensity of a dying star. It was locking onto Sekhmet's position in Cairo. Not today. Horus folded his wings once more and descended toward the warship. His entire body became a comet of golden light, and then, impact. His talons pierced the warship's hull, and the entire structure lurched under the force. He ripped through its metal plating, tearing his way into the control bay, where Set's avatar awaited. The chamber inside the warship was dark and silent, save for the faint humming of energy fields and the pulsating glyphs along the walls. Then, from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Set's avatar was unlike any of the others. His body was pure biomechanical perfection, fused with celestial technology beyond human comprehension. His form flickered, shifting between solid metal and ethereal energy, his eyes 2 burning stars. "Horus, always the fool." Set's voice was mechanized, laced with ancient malice. "You think you can stop me with wings and light?" Horus' fists crackled with celestial energy. "You talk too much." And then they clashed. Set moved first, his form blurring like a living shadow, his claws slashing through reality itself. Horus barely dodged, twisting in midair as energy tendrils lashed out. He countered with a wave of golden fire, forcing Set to retreat momentarily. Then, Set extended his arm, and the warship's entire structure responded. The walls shifted, forming razor-sharp constructs that lunged at Horus from all sides. "You're fighting on my battlefield now." Horus twisted, dodging blades, but Set was relentless. He appeared behind Horus, driving a spiked fist into his ribs. The impact sent shockwaves through the warship, causing entire sections to detonate outward into space. Blood, if Horus even had blood anymore, spilled into the void. For the first time in millennia, Horus felt pain. Far below, Kiran, Anubis' avatar, watched from the shadows as Cairo burned. His role was different. He was not the warrior. He was the executioner. "Thoth," Kiran spoke through their link. "How much time do we have?" Thoth's holographic form flickered beside him, a ghostly ibis-headed projection. "Not enough. Set's ship is moments from full planetary bombardment." Kiran exhaled, his jackal-shaped helm flickering with dark energy. "Then we have to end this before it starts." From the underground vaults of the old world, Anubis and Thoth activated the final failsafe. A gateway, long buried beneath the Great Pyramid, began to glow. Something ancient was stirring beneath the earth. Osiris, the forgotten god of rebirth, the final avatar, and the only one capable of undoing Set's war entirely. Horus gritted his teeth, pain searing through his side as black liquid metal leaked from the wound Set had torn into him. The warship's structure warped, shifting like a living entity under Set's command. The walls extended into razor-edged tendrils, the floors cracking apart to form abyssal voids, as if the ship itself was rejecting Horus' presence. Set stood tall, his towering, biomechanical form flickering between solid and shadow. His red eyes burned like dying stars, his voice dripping with ancient cruelty. "Your time has passed, Falcon." Set flexed his fingers, and energy whips cracked through the chamber, their edges vibrating fast enough to slice through reality itself. Horus exhaled sharply. His golden wings unfurled, their edges razor-sharp. His cybernetic talons crackled with solar plasma. "Then let's rewrite time." And he attacked. Set barely had time to react. Horus vanished, his body moving at near-light speed, the sonic boom tearing apart the chamber walls as he flashed behind Set in an instant. His talons slashed through Set's back, carving deep into his metallic flesh. Set roared, stumbling forward as black and red energy spilled from his wounds. The ship trembled, its systems overloading from the impact. But Set was not so easily defeated. "You think you're fast?" Set twisted his form, dissolving into a shadow warp before Horus could land his second strike. He reappeared behind Horus, his clawed hand plunging through Horus' shoulder, twisting inside his armor. Horus howled in pain, his vision going white-hot. Set lifted him off the ground, his clawed grip tightening. "Your wings are nothing. Your speed is nothing. You cannot defeat entropy itself." With inhuman strength, Set hurled Horus through the warship's hull, sending him spiraling into the cold void of space. Horus' body tumbled through the dark. His golden wings flickered, struggling to stabilize his trajectory. He could see Earth far below, a blue beacon of life, and Set's warship casting its shadow over it like a vengeful god. Set emerged from the hole in the warship's hull, stepping out into space as if gravity still obeyed him. His form was shifting now, growing larger, his body warping into something monstrous, his limbs stretching, his armor expanding into serrated blades, his face elongating into something beast-like, fanged, predatory. "Do you feel it, Falcon?" Set's voice was everywhere and nowhere, carried through the void on telepathic waves. "The end. The inevitability of my dominion?" Horus flexed his wings, his talons still glowing with solar plasma. He had one chance. One final gamble. One last strike. Horus compressed his entire being into a single movement, his wings folding, his core surging, his mind calculating the perfect trajectory. Then, he detonated forward, moving beyond light speed, his entire form becoming a living lance of golden fire. Set barely reacted in time. Horus collided with him, driving his plasma-charged talons straight through Set's core, the impact ripping through the warship's gravitational field, sending shockwaves through the void. Set screamed, his form rupturing, black ichor exploding into the vacuum. The sheer force tore them both apart, flinging Horus back toward the warship, his armor burning away, his body barely holding together. But Set did not die. He regenerated instantly, his form snapping back together like liquid metal, but weaker now, slower. Impressive. Set's voice was distorted, his body twitching, struggling to fully reform. But futile. Horus couldn't fight anymore. His vision blurred, his body failing him. He had given everything. And Set was still standing. This was it. Then, a new light erupted from below. From the Great Pyramid, something ancient stirred. A massive golden sigil ignited in the sands of Egypt, pulsing with pure cosmic energy. The energy spiraled into the sky, forming a beam of power that tore through space itself. Set's warship trembled, the celestial rift above Earth quaking. And for the first time Set hesitated. Horus, barely conscious, felt it too. Something was awakening. Something stronger than Set. Something that had been buried for millennia. Osiris was rising. And the war was about to change forever.